Welcome to Business Insights, your reliable destination for the most up-to-date global business stories. I am Olaoluwa Awe, and today we have an extensive coverage of major developments in various industries around the world. Our goal is to offer you valuable insights that will empower you, whether you're an entrepreneur or an investor, to make well-informed decisions. So join me as I delve into the latest news, analyze emerging trends, and shed light on the ever-evolving landscape of global business fair. Get ready for the business update. I am Olaoluwa. President Bola Tinubu has announced plans to support small businesses with 125 billion naira to cushion the impact of petrol subsidy removal in the country. He addressed the nation in a recorded message emphasizing the goal of promoting financial inclusion by integrating beneficiaries into the formal banking system. Additionally, the administration aims to fund 100,000 micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs and startups with 75 billion naira. Each enterprise promoter can receive between 500,000 naira to 1 million naira at a 9% interest rate per year with a repayment period of 36 months. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also, in his address to the nation, plans to encourage about 3,000 units of 20-seater compressed natural gas CNG buses, giving this out to state and local governments. According to his most recent national broadcast, the 100 billion naira investment for this initiative will be implemented between July 2023 and March 2024. Major transportation companies will receive these CNG buses based on travel intensity per capita, and they can access credit at 9% per annum with a 60-month payment period. Amid a concerning rise in building collapses across the country, Africa's largest cement manufacturer, Dangote Cement, is planning to establish a block-making academy for artisans. The purpose of this academy is to provide block makers and artisans the necessary skills to produce bricks and meet quality standards. National Sales Director of Dangote Cement, Mrs. Funmi Sonny, announced this initiative during the Africa International Housing Show, AIHS, in Abuja. The company aims to address the challenges posed by an aging workforce of block makers, the lack of interest from younger generations in the trade, unprofessional practices by equipping artisans with the right skills and tools for their profession. And a recent study conducted by Small Firm Diaries and published by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, has revealed that 40% of micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs in Nigeria, are owned by women, while only 12% are co-owned by both men and women, and 48% of MSMEs are solely owned by men. The study's results contrast with a World Bank report, which indicates that globally, firms with female representation in ownership were 32.9%, whereas in Nigeria, the figure was much lower at just 16.8%. For larger firms, the figure dropped even further to 12.2%. The purpose of the study is to help gain insight into the role and operations of MSMEs in Nigeria, as these businesses account for 96% of companies and contribute to 86% of total employment in the country. The data for the report was collected from 161 firms operating in Enugu, Kaduna, and Lagos states, spanning various sectors such as light manufacturing, agri-processing, and services. Away from Nigeria, Uganda has implemented stricter regulations on capital infusion for financial institutions to protect businesses from global shocks. This means existing commercial banks must increase their new minimum capital levels to 120 billion Ugandan shillings, approximately $32.5 million, by the end of December 2023 in order to comply with the new regulations. According to a memo sent by the Bank of Uganda, BOU, New commercial banks are now required to hold at least 150 billion Ugandan shillings, approximately $40.7 million in capital, up from 25 billion Ugandan shillings, which is about $6.8 million. Some investors expressed concerns about the new standards, and some banks have scaled back operations in response. The administration attributes the regulations to discussions during the COVID-19 pandemic and the need for greater capital requirements amid economic challenges, including the Russia-Ukraine war. The banking industry in Uganda will see increased minimum capital levels by the end of 2024 to comply with the new rules. And forex bureaus will also need to raise their minimum capital requirements. Away from Africa, Apple is expected to report a dip in iPhone sales for the April-June quarter due to shoppers waiting for the new model in a slow economy. The total quarterly revenue is likely to drop by 1.6%, the steepest decline since 2016. Analysts suggest that Apple may discuss its use of artificial intelligence (AI) to boost growth in its upcoming products. The new iPhone 15 expected next month could potentially lead to increased sales in the July to September quarter. However, Apple shares have already seen a significant increase this year. Despite a slowdown in iPhone sales, the services business, including the App Store and streaming services, is expected to be a bright spot with an estimated 5.7% growth. In a surprising twist, Rick Cohen, owner of Symbotic, a warehouse automation firm partnered with Walmart, has experienced an extraordinary surge of $8.5 billion in his net worth in just one day, bringing his total net worth to an impressive $27.8 billion, up from $19.3 billion. The reason behind this massive increase in Rick Cohen's wealth is the performance of Symbotic. The company's stock value surged by a remarkable 50% following its latest earnings report. The closing share price reached $63.54, a significant 50.64% increase from the previous opening price of $46.17 in July. This American billionaire, who transformed his family's business from a regional player into a powerhouse over the course of 3 generations, is happy about this development. And that's the end of the business news stories. Let's get to the stock market. We start with the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX, where a total of 762 million shares were traded in 7,935 deals with a market value of 7.7 billion naira compared to the previous trading day. There was a 13% increase in trade volume, 19% increase in turnover, but a 19% decline in the number of deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange stands at 34.9 trillion naira. 118 listed equities participated in the trading, resulting to 22 gainers and 37 losers. Dangote Sugar Refinery led the gainers with a 10% increase in share price, closing at 29.70 naira per share. Abbey Mortgage Bank followed with a 10% gain. Chelorams did 9.87% gain, and Tantalizers recorded a 9.68% share price appreciation. On the other hand, John Holt experienced the highest decline with a 10% decrease at the end of the day, closing at 1.80 naira per share. Ela Lakes, 9.92% decrease. Fidelity Bank, 9.88% decrease, and Japan Gold and Ventures saw a 9.71% loss. The most actively traded stock was ICO Insurance with a volume of 315 million shares. United Bank for Africa, AXA Mansard Insurance, and Eco Transnational followed with volumes of 54.5 million to about 41.9 million shares traded amongst them. But still in Africa, we move to the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange at the end of the last trading day. A total of 2 million shares were traded, amounting to a market value of 3.2 billion Zimbabwean dollars. Compared to the previous trading day, there was a significant 39% increase in trading volume and a 35% increase in turnover. The current market capitalization of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange stands at 9.96 trillion Zimbabwean dollars. Similarly, at the close of trade in the Lusaka Securities Exchange, a total of 41,849 shares were traded in 72 deals with a market value of 121,750.75 Zambian kwacha compared to the previous trading day. there was a significant 282% increase in trading volume, a 206% increase in turnover, and a 6% increase in the number of deals. And the current market capitalization of the Lusaka Securities Exchange stands at 78.6 billion Zambian kwacha. Moving away from Africa to the United States, we move to the Dow Jones 30. The Dow Jones 30 Industrial Index, also known as the DJIA, finished at 35,553.18 points as at the last trading day. That means it went down by 6.35 points, which is about 0.02% decrease from the previous trading day. Still in the US, we get to the Russell 2000 Index, also known as the RUT. It closed trading at 1,990.60 points as at the last trading day. It decreased by 23 points, which is about 1.14% lower compared to the previous trading day's closing. The Russell 2000 Index is a stock market index that tracks the performance of 2,000 small cap companies listed in the US stock exchanges. Now we switch gears to the European stocks. The DAX 40 index, which represents the performance of 40 major companies listed on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange in Germany, closed at 16,240.40 points as at the last trading day. It decreased by 206.43 points, which is about 1.26% lower compared to the previous trading day. And lastly, in stocks, we move to the FTSE 100 index, a market index that tracks the performance of the 100 largest companies listed on the London Stock Exchange in the United Kingdom, of course. It closed trading with 7,666.27 points, and it had a decrease of 20.63 points, which is about 0.27% lower compared to the previous trading day. Now, let's examine the commodity markets. As at present, the price of gold stands at $1,943.80 US per troy ounce, while silver is valued at $24.48 US per troy ounce. In the energy sector, Brent crude is being sold at $84.77 US per barrel. And now turning our attention to the agricultural commodities, cocoa is priced at 3,444.23 British pounds per ton, and wheat is quoted at $261.80 US per ton. On the other hand, the currency market has experienced significant fluctuations this week, starting with the Naira-dollar rate. The dollar opened at 784.91 Naira and saw a slight trend closing, that's an upward trend, closing at 756.94 to a dollar. Moving on to the value of the euro in Naira. Presently, the euro is valued at 832.76 Naira. And to acquire a British pound, it will cost you 967.73 Naira. Finally, the Naira is currently standing at, against the Japanese yen at 5.29. I mean, one Japanese yen is 5.29 Naira. And talking about the United Arab Emirates dirham, it is valued at 209.53 Naira. And that concludes the market trend on Business Insights. I am Olaoluwa Awe. Coming up next is a valuable analysis on some of the stories, and stay tuned for the thought-provoking expert insight with Jimo Latif. Today, on this segment of Business Insights, we talked about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's plan to invest about 75 billion naira in the manufacturing sector in Nigeria. Today, we'll continue from there. We'll touch on other issues, including the labor strike in Nigeria, or the protest, happening across the country. And we'll talk about some other developments around the world. So welcome once again to the segment of Business Insight. I am Olaoluwa Awe. And joining me to discuss these issues is Mr. Jimo Latif. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, that's a business analyst for today. So let's start with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's plan now to support small businesses with 125 billion naira. That is to cushion the effect of the petrol subsidy removal. According to him, the administration aims to fund 100,000 micro, small and medium-sized enterprises and startups, 125 billion naira. According to this report, each enterprise promoter can receive between 500,000 naira to $1 million naira at a 9% interest rate per year. Good. With a repayment period of 36 months. What impact do you think this will have?
Thank you very much. As a follow-up to what we discussed yesterday, if you look at the statement being pronounced by our president, he actually made this statement because we have already a bad situational hand. And it's looking at the MSME to be able to drive the growth. In essence, what I'm saying is that all this palliative measure was to stimulate growth in terms of the business and create a conducive environment for the small business to thrive. That is where simple way to put it. Those are the impact, I think, in a short time. Because if you look at the instrument, the financial instrument that comes in terms of loan, you can see it actually allows, and you look at the duration of repayment, but it's okay. And look at the interest, it's a single digit, about 9%, I guess. So all these things as a way of allowing the business, because there's an ample of time for the business to develop. Because if you look at the rate of interest, I think about 20-something, 22, not 20 or 23% now.
At the banks, right?
At the bank. So it's not easy to, so if somebody is giving you that loan at a single digit of 9%, I think it has done, and there's a moratorium period before you start paying. So, and if you look at all these, just to stimulate and allow the small business owner to be able to, and it mentioned something like a nano business. This nano business are the small, like a market trader, barber, the small business owner. So these are people that will actually have an opportunity to receive those money. So it's a way of allow the business to start, and you can see the organic movement in the way that everybody will say, okay, we're having a good and organic way of doing things in Nigeria. So what I'm saying in essence is that all these palliative measures is a way to drive economic growth.
All right.
In Nigeria.
Now, one of the major issues with previous programs by the government has always been some of the people these programs are meant for saying that they eventually do not get the loans, they do not get the funds. Another major issue has been repayment. It is believed that a good number of people, once they discover this is a government loan, this is a government program, they just want to take the money. Some of them take the money and with the intention of not repaying. Those have been the two major issues. What do you think should be done differently this time to ensure that we get the desired results? Anyway,
first of all, the loan will be tied to your personal details. You have BVN, you have NIN, it's not, and it allows those, because people, we have a lot that doesn't even have a bank, so you'll be forced to go open an account in a bank. And in opening an account, there are KYC that they would really want to know who you are, your BVN and all those things. So there's going to be a track of that loan. So there's no way you can default or move away from it. So because there is going to be a detail of who you are, to be able to access loan from them, you need to have dropped some certain things that can track you. That is and I think if government really wants to do it, they should have a collaboration with the 3 tiers of government. In terms of the state, the local government, to be, because they are the ones at the grassroots that knows who needs more, not to shed up there. You know what I'm saying? So they really need to have a collaboration with the 3 tiers of in terms of the states, local government and the federal parastatals.
One of the things that was mentioned there in the presidential broadcast is the intention to bring more people in the informal sector into the banking system. How do you think this will work in Nigeria?
This is what I've just told you now. The informal sector doesn't have an account. So by this loan, you are bringing, because all of them need, so they want to access the loan. In accessing the loan, definitely going to have a bank, because the money will be routed through the bank. It's not going to be giving you direct as in paying card. No. It will be routed through the bank. And for you to have access money in the bank, you need to put your details or whatever in terms of your bank verification or whatever. So to be able to track you.
What message would you have for small businesses, whether you're in the informal sector, whether in the formal sector? How can you better position your business or yourself to benefit from this? I mean, 125 billion naira is a lot of money,
sure.
So it should get to the people really running
that's
the
why I
business.
said it's for nano business. Nano business, by definition, means those peasants, Baba, the people that do some. So if they can have, sometimes they don't have more than 10,000, 20,000 naira to start. So if they can access like 500,000 to 1 million, it's a huge investment opportunity for you. So anybody that's within that range that needs to, I said, needs to like make sure he has all what he needs to do so that he will prepare his business model, because they're going to ask for your business plan or whatever. If, okay, I mean, Baba, this is what I intend to do. This is, you actually need to detail out how you're going to make this money, how you're going to pay this money back, what are the business, what is going to offer. If I access the money at the end of the month, I'm going to get this. At the end of the, so you need to detail your financial plan. It's not that they will go there and then they will just give you. You need to explain how you want to pay back.
Some people don't even have registered businesses. Like they buy and sell daily. They have not even thought of registering the business.
That's what we're saying now. For you to access those loans, because to pay back, no, it's not that I said that the payback is the problem. And Nigeria being what we hear, it's a free money, let me go. It's not going to be like that again. Because you are coming to access money, you know, okay, I mean, Baba, okay, how much am I going to recoup at the end of the month to pay? Out of this, I'll take for myself, I'll pay this one. And if you look at the duration of the payments, it's fantastic. And the single digit, I think, is okay as far as I'm concerned.
Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also plans to introduce 3,000 units of 20-seater compressed natural gas as CNG powered buses to states and local government. According to the broadcast, 100 billion naira investment, is what is going into this initiative, and it will be implemented between July this year. It has started between July
March
this year to March 2024. Yeah. And what he explained is saying major transportation companies will receive these buses on travel intensity per capita, and they can access credit at 9% per annum with a 60-month repayment plan. Please help us make sense of this. Really.
Like what we said, it's the same thing. If the one thing you should understand that the buses, the data 3,000 buses is not going to use petrol. It's a CNG, compressed natural gas. So which means that we are moving away, gradually moving away from petroleum fuel car to gas fueling. So this has a way of diversifying our economy from fuel dependent to gas, and that is stimulate the growth in that in the gas sector. So we can now improve the in production of gas, as well as for local utilization and both for foreign. So that's another way of getting money now. Because apart from the our major is petroleum, but if you can develop our gas sections too, which is very fantastic, and you can see that and its effect. Okay. Let's go. I'm listening to questions.
Yes. Well, you want to talk about the effect of this, on business naturally. It is. I know that for the CNG, it's said that the CNG is even cheaper compared to petrol, and they say a good number of businesses should even be looking at doing this for businesses that incur huge transportation costs. From my research, it takes about between 300,000 to 400,000 naira to convert a big truck from the petrol fueling system to the CNG fueling system. So we just hope to see how this will go. But as a result of this announcement, we'll be seeing the need for a good number of businesses to relate directly with government agencies.
Sure.
Because, of course, you need to find, they are the ones that President Muhammadu Buhari cannot, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not personally send this money or distribute these things that these offers that he has for people. What do you think relationship between the necessary government agencies that are to drive these programs and businesses should be at this point in time?
You know, they're going to have, what the government says, they're going to have a relationship with transportation companies that they are existing already. They know them. They will have taken statistics of them. What they need to do, okay, we want to do away with it. We want to give you this. It's going to be in form of loan. They will bring you, it's not that they will give you free. You have to pay, like normal payment, normal moratorium, and at 9% interest too. But for it to work, we still need to, it has to be divided about 774 local government in Nigeria, if I recall. It's not, I would say, we need collaboration between it's not going to be a federal issue now. State and the grassroots, which is the local government. So to be able to assess, so if they know who and who they can get, and this will assess, because it's not only in federal states that we have transport problem, we have in local places, in local, like in states and at the local government level too, we have it, because we are buying the same petrol at the, even if no more than in some states or local government.
But because when things like this happen, when people hear that the government wants to do certain things for businesses, some Nigerians, maybe because of the experiences they've had in the past, they feel the need to begin to lobby government agencies, lobby these departments and agencies that are in charge. It is believed that, whether rightly or wrongly, it is believed that some of the people directly in charge of these things will bring in favoritism and begin to allocate, because of course, I'm very sure we have more than 100,000 micro, small businesses in Nigeria. I don't know, do you think this is something that would naturally go around, or now one needs to be very strategic about how a business can benefit from it?
Yeah, fantastic. You've said the right thing, that we need to be strategic, and we have a plan. When you conceive a plan, you must have developed the working arrangement towards that plan. I believe our government must have do its own due diligence on this particular thing, and then make sure that they won't just give to anybody. They're going to be a workable plan that they're working with. I believe so. So that's what I said. It's not going to be within the federal only. It's going to be cascaded down to local government level. And I think about 774 local government we have in Nigeria. Those transport will be distributed among those people. And if you look at it, in terms of the financial instrument that's been, in terms of the loan that be assessed, so everything, because the KYC is there. You have to fill your KYC form before this thing is given to you.
But do you see a strong need for monitoring now?
Definitely.
It's one thing at the federal level for the government to have a plan and think it through. The practicality of the project is another thing, because of course there will be other human beings that will be at different points to distribute this. I
agree with you in terms of control. That's what people are saying, it's part of control. If you actually go to for instance, this transportation that have been imported, that will be distributed, will have a workable plan of how they want to distribute according to the state or to the. But this should have a kind of, like I say, a workable plan in such a way that part of it is going to be in like form of loan. It's not that they're going to give it to you like that. You have to submit your KYC. We want to know who owns what. You have to really go through some certain processes. It's not like, okay, Baba pay and then go and take. No. They're going to be, if it's going to be if it's going to be managed by Minister of Transportation, we want to see who has applied, how are they been given out.
Transparency.
Exactly. And all those things is what we're talking about. Because if there's no transparency, there won't be proper control. But when transparent, you know who owns what, who you give it to, then there will be a monitoring process in terms of how you are going to pay this loan. The same process as to the other palliative that have been, but okay.
One of the key things that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu mentioned in his national broadcast is the review of the minimum wage to a living wage, hopefully, in the country. And he said his administration is in contact with the relevant stakeholders to come up with an exact figure and how it will be worked out eventually. But amidst this, barely 48 hours after he said this, the labor unions in the country, the Nigeria Labour Congress, has started a protest. They've already talked about a strike, which is to start today. But we understand that in Lagos now, there's a protest which started from Ikeja under bridge, and they are proceeding to the government house in Alausa to make their grievances known. Basically, from the banners we saw people carry, it's still about ending fuel price increases and stopping naira devaluation, paying living wage, supporting the informal sector, and all of that. We understand that in Plateau State also, there's a protest in Jos. People have gathered around the Secretariat Junction for the protest. This is also happening in Kano with heavy security presence. And in fact, a similar protest has started in Oyo State since Monday. You know, in fact, that one is even a little bit different because that one involved both NLC, TUC. Then we're talking about the Nigerian Union of Pensioners.
That has to do with the state government itself.
Yes, the state government itself. They're talking about payment of leave bonuses, gratuities to retirees that have been delayed since 2021. And I understand that initially the Oyo State governor called them to a meeting, but obviously they've not been able to reach an agreement on this. You know, how do you even find these strikes? Do you think it's timely, or because it's coming barely 48 hours after the federal government or the president announced certain palliative measures?
Thank you very much. I think it's a bit ill-conceived and wrong timing. Although I don't know the mechanism to which the NSCs work. I wouldn't want to dwell much on that. But you should know that we're just coming out of, and within the right of the NSC to go on strike when there's something, because they represent a trade union that they fight for certain people when things, and we can see from what is happening that the hardship being told on people is not that very easy. The people are really suffering it. I agree to that. But they still need to, in as much within their right to go on strike, they should sit down and rethink and try to still more. They should. I have seen them having an engagement with the federal government. I love it. Let them sit down to keep on. Like when this man even said something the day before yesterday, the president said something the day before yesterday, I expect them to sit down, to look into it. But I believe the reason why they are going on strike was because they've already called the strike all this while. For them to have reversed it, people would think these are not serious. I guess that's one of the things they were going on this strike, because I'm sure what the pronouncement of President has some impact on what they are fighting for. But you should look at it that in Nigeria, we are still undergoing some recovery process as a result of COVID-19. So they should try not to, because anything they do now is going to aggravate already was in the situation of Nigerians. Because you can't give what you don't have.
Let's even talk about the specific impact of this strike on businesses now. Do you think where Nigerian businesses are right now, they can afford to go on strike?
Because inflation is there. In terms of growth, the scarcity of already scarce resources is there. Think will aggravate those ends. The impact of this, because if everybody, okay, let's go sit at home, no rule, work to rule, whatever I want to call it, we are already in a dire situation. So what needs to be more devastating and more is uncontrollable. But I believe one thing is for the labor to sit down with the federal government and find a way, fine-tune if there are any where they need to fine-tune together, engage with each other, and make sure that they come with a workable plan that can take out of the economic quagmire. Because we have problem now, we need to be solved. It's not by strike. We are just coming out, I told you, just coming out from one that is not even, it's the effect is we are still feeling the effect of COVID-19. Do you know how many businesses that have gone down? Followed by the Emefiele's naira scarcity is another issue.
Now, if the NLC or the labor unions insist on this strike, what's the best they can get out of it? And what's the worst thing that can happen?
To me, I guess just one day, one strike anyway. For now, I don't think there's any effect on it. But for what I'm saying, people might say it's normal. Like I've not seen the impact yet in terms of what they're going for. And I know but I've been watching them down my TV. I've seen what they're going through in terms of the people that actually follow I can't see the number. But let's leave that one aside. What the impact is what we should look at. The Labour Congress should sit down, go back to the drawing board, how they want to attack this with the federal, and sit down. And they should, if the federal government is not being uncooperative, they should let us know. We will know. Then people will follow them. But for now, because this president seems to be a listening government, from what we've been seeing in recent time, and let's see how, we should sit down, because one thing that you need to accept a give and take. You can't have it all. So all you need to do, sit down. There's some things you can, because we understand the economy. We know how the fundamentals are going. It's not that easy for a government that have inherited a lot of funny things in there. I mean, look at the policy we've been trying to. I'm not trying to hold brief for the federal government, but at least for the policy we've been seeing, it's a recovery plan. In as much as a recovery plan, you don't expect it to just happen just like that.
All right, let's examine the recent study published by the National Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria that revealed that 40% of micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria are owned by women, while 12 are co-owned by both men and women. Meanwhile, the World Bank also had a similar report, a similar study, saying that firms owned by, with female representation in the ownership were about 32.9%, whereas in Nigeria the figure was much lower, which is 16.8%. In
terms of the women inclusiveness?
Yes, in the ownership of the business.
Of the business. So looking at that, the way I want to enter through our culture itself. There's a way a man is being perceived. So the men are more superior, but we can see the fighting of men. Even look at those small, like you said, women are taking more active part because they are better managers.
Are we?
Yes. All of us are very happy. We know the way they manage on front. So, and if you look at all these small business that we're talking about, not much men can, but there's one that has this negotiating capacity. And no, seriously, if you look at the way women handle issues, I'm not trying to hope for, I'm not a woman, but I say, but in reality, if they're not the one that actually been a frivolous, but if you're handling a business, they tend to be a very, very flourish business persons. So those are where I look at it. Women have been in the forefront and vanguard of the business development in Nigeria, and I believe it's so, based on what I think I've just discussed so far.
But if you look at the World Bank report, which states that firms with female representation in ownership were 32.9%. That's globally, but in Nigeria, firms with women representation in the ownership are just 16.8%. That's still quite low. When you're talking about gender equality.
I've just mentioned something. We have to look at our culture. That meant to be the head, and the men has to take. And look at in Nigeria. We have different tribes and cultures. Culture doesn't even allow women to.
But this culture seem to be changing. And things seem to be getting better in the field.
That's why you even have that 16 point something.
That's 16.8%.
If before you may not have more than 3 or 4, and those 4 will be mostly from the south.
Now, if it can get this good, can it get any better? And what are the things we can put in place to ensure that it gets better?
It's sensitization, which is ongoing. Women inclusiveness in governance. Women inclusive. But one thing, like I just told you now, if the culture that's stopped or that's put a kind of a barrier to the women going to somewhere. The culture is becoming opening up little by little. And before you know it, they get there. But it's a gradual process. It's not something you can force. You understand?
Are there things that women need to do now?
Women still need to take the front and keep on pushing. That people, I have seen people. I was watching our ministerial nominees. I can see women talking fantastically, and I've seen them.
We need to be bolder.
And look at Bita Edu was so aspirant. She was confident what she did. And I always look at one woman, the word Amina something. Look at that woman when she spoke confidently. A lot of like that. And when they own it. It's not that they own that thing that okay this, and they've been so fantastic. Even looking at our financial sector, every sector now they're moving on.
That's good to know that. Now let's get to Uganda and check out the new financial institution policy there. Talking about stricter regulations on capital infusion for financial institutions to protect businesses from global shocks, they say. So it means that existing commercial banks in the country will need to boost their capital levels to about $32.5 million by the end of the year. And for new commercial institutions coming in, they need to have about 150 billion Ugandan shillings, approximately about $40.7 million before they can start business.
We've done that in Nigeria, no big deal. If we recapitalize the most of our banks, not only banks, insurance recapitalizes, the pension, the PENCOM, they recapitalize. It's not a big deal. It's just to make sure they move in tandem with the growth. You know, the growth of inflation have eroded a lot of money that's supposed to be saved. So all these things are what put okay, you can't withstand based on the obligor that you have in terms of the loan creation, all those things. You can't withstand what is going on. So you need to recapitalize to be able to meet the need or yan of your depositors. No,
for businesses that must now get new capital, where do you advise they get this investments from?
There are various ways to get. Simple, they can go back to the market and source for funds from the stock market. Okay. They can borrow from the venture capital. They can do a lot of financing method that you can come and you can just decide to float a debenture. The debenture that you select, but one thing is the debenture that you make money or don't make money, you pay back their interest and loan. That's one of the risk aspects of it.
Now, let's drive this home to even businesses in Nigeria, small, medium, or large. You know, especially small businesses, some people just feel like, well, 100,000 naira, 200,000 naira is what I have to start my business. Let me start small. What's the essence or the benefit or advantage of having more capital, sourcing for more capital as you grow in your business?
Because the demand will allow you to do that. Because if you have more demand, you don't have a stock, you know, your customer will go there. So you need to make sure your stock, you have a buffer stock to supply to your customer. This is one of the ways. I look at the growth prospect of this is the growth prospect that my company has. I need to really move with that growth to need to recapitalize. So if you have a small, it depends on the business you're doing. But as the business keep on expanding, so do you need funds to push that growth.
Yes, and maybe you should explain this part, because this whole idea of recapitalization is to protect businesses from global shocks.
Exactly.
What are the kind of global shocks we're looking at, and how will it protect businesses?
No, for instance, the global shock is for a part of it is FDI, foreign direct income
investments
and portfolio. You know, they need to repatriate their funds. So this global shock, if you don't have enough internal capital to, when they remove the shock, they remove their money, definitely the company become, that's part of what we were talking about yesterday. So the global shock, and then look at in terms of inflation.
Okay.
So if you don't have excess, how would you be able to finance the inflation movement?
Sustain your business.
Exactly. So you look at anything can happen, like disaster, all this, global warming, whatever, it happens. So that is essence of why you need to, like, even if you don't need that fund in the short while, you can invest it in the short another edge investment that give you two money in terms of investment you get, and then in terms of the normal business you You get money back. That's where it is. But you actually need the capital to withstand the growth. And in terms of global shock, is what I've just explained, can come in any way.
Okay, now let's touch on this business. That's Rick Cohen's story. He's the owner of Symbiotic, a warehouse automation firm partnered with Walmart. And according to reports, he has experienced an extraordinary surge of $8.5 billion in his net worth.
Come again, please.
In just one day. We're talking about Rick Cohen, you know, the owner of Symbiotic, a warehouse automation firm partnered with Walmart. Because he just experienced a major boost in terms of his net worth just within one day, and it's because you know, his stock improved, you know, his shares. Just the latest earnings shows that the closing share price of his business reached $63.5, a significant 50.64%. You know, for me, when I saw the story, I saw collaboration. This is a business, a warehouse business built mainly to support businesses like Walmart. Do you see more Nigerians needing such strategic positioning and relationship management to boost their business?
Yes, there is. I should expect that. The one thing I believe in this kind of growth, if you look at that growth, I'll ask myself a question. That kind of growth, is it sustainable? Because the growth in terms of stock, sometimes if you have a return of more than 100%, that's what it means. It needs to be called to question. But all the same, the collaboration allows you to have more money for investments. You understand? And the more money you put up, if you drive a volume, definitely you have, even if it's by 1 naira you make, by the time you multiply by that, the volume of that trade, it is something. So if collaboration can endanger or can allow you to have more business or to trade more in terms of the stock, whatever you are doing, it's okay. I think we have some mergers going on this time. This kind of mergers, I think of maybe it's a merger too. The walnut and whatever you say, it's a merger. It's a kind of merger. It's a collaboration. Collaboration is like a merger too. It could be a merger. It could be there kind of different kind of mergers. It may be outright acquisition. It may just a merger of it. But all I'm saying that the more collaboration, the more economic of scale you create.
Now, let's look into the Nigerian Stock Exchange and check out the developments there. What are the key things you noted in yesterday's trading, and what are the things that investors should watch out for?
Well, for now, the market is going on the other side for now, and you can see the sell-off in sentiment still going on. People are dumping share because they've seen the second quarter result has come, and people that declare dividend, have clicked that dividend, drop the shares, maybe to buy another. All this have effect on the market. That's a business. That's the basic business sense of the stock market. It's not going to be static. But all I'm saying is that if you look at what is happening, we see even just on Friday, I think the financial sector was badly hit on Friday. But if you look at some trades yesterday went flat, there was no much movement. I think about 32% or 3.2 BPS or whatever. That is what the movement so low compared to what has been happening. So the trading yesterday was a bit lower and a little bit of gain and a little profit. But the value, I mean, did you led the value chart? I think is it value or volume chart? Yes. And I think another company led the value chart, maybe the bank or whatever. But what I'm saying is that for now, the bank is still a bit flat. It's not easy to take it. You can take your decision. And this is even the time to enter the market because the price is a bit going low. Because maybe they start selling, the selling, then the supply becoming more. So the price is becoming low. You can now look at the fundamental of that particular company. Based on that, I told you, don't just say because it's a penny stock or a price is low, you enter the market. You need to get the fundamental. Look at the organic movement. Study the report of that particular company and look for the information that will guide you in investing in them particular. But for now, it is the right time for you to really invest.
Yes, let's also look at the fluctuations in the currency market. The rate of naira to dollar the rate of naira to euro, and what have you noticed, you know, in recent times? And what is the lesson there for business owners?
The fluctuation in terms of, there's nothing, you cannot rule that out, because you are trading the weaker currency against the strong currency. And what determines you being a weaker in terms of naira, then what you have been able to reserve. So, and when you don't have reserve, you have it. And this is time for people, the advantage of it and disadvantage that it allows serious arbitrage. People take advantage of a weaker currency to trade foreign currency. But all this thing has a way of stifling economic growth. Because if you look at it, I would not look at it from the, in fact, people that in terms of capital inflow is going to affect capital inflow. The interest rate is going to be high, there's going to be inflation. Capital inflow in this means that for a foreign direct income or portfolio manager, you don't want to invest in the company because you don't have what it takes. That if I invest in you, what is the what assurance I'm going to get my money out of your country? So they tend to.
But what does this mean for those directly trading forex? You know, we have like forex traders who make money from increases and declines in the value of the currency.
I've talked about arbitraging. Arbitraging, you are trading, taking the loop on the currency differentiation. That's arbitraging. Because if you want to trade naira, I would rather trade a strong currency against another currency, not naira in terms of the trading. But in terms of the local trading, then you talk about the black market of this world. The government can now serve as a buffer to ameliorate the gap we have in the currency supply. You know,
because some people predict that the Nigerian naira, maybe against the dollar, will continue to reduce in value, and some people are trading with that in mind. What advice do you have for forex traders? In fact, I think I even saw
it's a projection.
A rumor that it's going.
I think this morning, I think about 900 something. Yes, I think about get to 900. And I told you one thing, is a true reflection of what we have. We are import dependent. These are things that affect your currency. Instead of somebody subsidizing, just to reflect, that kind of thing. But though it's a very bad situation anyway, not that. But that's the reflection of what you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lateef Jimoh, for your time and Business Insights.
I appreciate it.
That's how we wrap up the show. I am Olaoluwa Awe. Don't forget to join Souq News 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock tomorrow for more Business Insights.